From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's time to dive into the world of Casper College athletics with another episode of the Casper College Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Phil
Welcome,
Kohler.
fans of the Casper College Coaches Show. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, joined as always by the head coach of the Lady T-Birds, Mr. Dwight Gennari. Coach, you guys get a couple more wins this weekend. You moved to 5-2 on the season. Give us a little bit of a rundown on what that looked like for you.
Great weekend. First of all, it was so fun to be back in T-Bird Gym. Had great fans. I thought for Thanksgiving holiday, our fan base showed up big time, and it was really fun. And I thought, overall, we still haven't come close to putting a 40-minute game together, but overall on the weekend, I thought we improved on playing good basketball for longer minutes.
Sure. Well, Friday night, you guys certainly looked apart. At least for the first 20 minutes, you guys come out and dominate a pretty good North Idaho team. You beat them 85-64. You guys win the first quarter by 10, the second quarter by 9. Talk about that start that you guys got off to and how that kind of just rode into the rest of the game.
I really think it was a good week of preparation going into that game. We played North Idaho in a jamboree at Salt Lake, so we're familiar with them. We ended up winning that one at the buzzer, but they were up in double digits, so we knew they were very talented. I thought we did a good job on one of their best shooters, Pickford. She was only 1 for 6, and she's been averaging about 9 or 10 threes per game. And I thought we were prepared very well. And then our offensive execution was great. I thought we had a good balance inside, perimeter shot, driving shots, etc.
Yeah, talking about that interior presence, Luta Axe leads the way with 14 points. Did you guys feel like you kind of put an emphasis on throwing the ball into her in the post a little bit more?
We did. We're trying to be balanced. If you can score at all three levels, you can score in the mid-range area, you can score out behind the three-point arc, and then inside, if you can be balanced in that area, I think you're going to have better shots. When they have to be concerned about our inside game, Lutz is starting to, I think, establish herself as one of the better posts in our region or in our area, and that's going to cause extra attention from a help defender. So that's going to create some open looks out on the perimeter. So again, establishing that inside game, I think, is always going to be in our best interest.
Well, and shooting the ball closer to the basket obviously makes it a little bit easier to make it. You guys shoot 52% on Friday night. Is that like a big key to it, is throwing the ball inside?
It is. And again, you're right. Your percentages should automatically go up with those interior shots, but I also think it creates better looks out on the perimeter too, because they're not closed out, or the defense on the perimeter shooter is not as tight. So yeah, I do think it has a trickle down effect to all percentages.
Sure. Logan Alvar continues to show what she can do. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Just kind of an entire floor game. Is she just continuing to get better as we go?
These last 3 games just been incredible. I mean, she has been attacking the boards, and she's been finishing and playing at a tremendous pace, not just offensively, but defensively as well. These last 3 games, and we build up significant leads in Friday night and Saturday night. So, her minutes were limited, but yet she packed the stats pretty darn well, and that just says the effort that she's putting in.
Absolutely. And so moving into that game on Saturday, you guys beat Snow 92-63 in a game that was a rematch. You guys win all 4 quarters. Is that something that you guys preach, is that each 10-minute window, try to win that 10-minute window?
You really try to win blocks if you can. And I think the start of the game block is very important. I think how you finish the second quarter is very important. Then, how you start the third quarter.
Absolutely.
So if you can win those minutes, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape by the fourth quarter.
So Andy Schisler leads the way with 22 points. Luta adds 20 more. Andy, as a freshman coming in, she kind of handles the ball some, but she's capable of shooting it. Talk about what she brings to the table from that point guard position.
Very good, and what makes that even more impressive, her practice the week coming into these 2 games was limited because she sprained her ankle against a week ago Friday, and so she had limited minutes, and she played pretty well against North Idaho, but we built that lead. I think she would have liked to play it a little more, but I knew we'd need her against Snow, and she's a scorer. Yep. She's a scorer, and I would have to say the thing I'm probably most impressed with Andy, we knew she was a scorer. She showed that right away when she got here, but her on-ball defense is getting better, and that's critical for her now and going to the future.
Sure, and you talk about throwing the ball into the post and being more balanced offensively. When you throw the ball into Lutza, kicking it out to Andy is a pretty good option if she's open to shoot it.
I do like that combination quite well.
You guys shoot 56% from the field on Saturday, 52% on Friday. What, besides throwing it into the post, what else goes into shooting such a high percentage? Obviously, you want kids that can make shots, but there's more to it than that, right?
There is, and I think another thing that I think we showed progress in, and we still have work to do, is we really our ball movement was better this last weekend. We got ball reversals and we had better pace on offense. And again, if you can keep the defense moving, you're going to have better scoring opportunities. If they're running at you because of our ball movement, you have a good chance to go by them if their closeouts aren't good and those kind of things. So I think you're 100% right. It's shot selection, shot distribution, but it's also pace on offense.
Sure. Well, and speaking of offensive players, Irene Fernandez de Kayla comes in this weekend. She gets 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Just kind of fills the stat sheet, but she does so many other things. You talk about ball movement and how important that is, and having somebody that knows to swing the basketball. Talk about what she brings to the table for the team.
Tremendous. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned things outside of what shows up on the stat because, her communication is tremendous. Her basketball IQ is tremendous. There's times that she'll go off script or other players will go off script, and it's just a great basketball play. We don't want our team to be scripted.
Sure.
We want it structured but not scripted, and Irene has just got a great basketball IQ. She is another one that's improved greatly on defense, and she's just always focused, always bringing energy, always focused. Huge part of our team.
Well, let's get a chance to know Irene Fernandez de Kayla a little bit better on 94 Feet. This is 94 Feet with Irene
Fernandez de Calella Miquel.
What she said. What is your favorite thing about Tarragona, Spain? What's the one thing that you miss the most about being home?
Probably my family or my twin sister, and probably the weather.
Yeah, definitely the weather this time of year. Yeah. What's your favorite thing about being here in Casper so far?
Probably the people. It's been really nice.
Yeah. You've been at Casper now for 2 years. This is year number 2. What's your best memory of playing basketball here at Casper College?
Probably going to nationals and winning.
Winning that Region 9 championship last year was pretty cool. Last question. Who is your favorite basketball player to watch, either in the NBA or in the WNBA?
Probably Luka Doncic.
Yeah, great one. Yeah. This has been 94 Feet with Irene
Fernandez de Calella Miquel.
What she said. That was perfect. Welcome back, fans of the Casper College Coaches Show. So, Coach, looking ahead to this week, you guys head down to Western Nebraska for the Cougar Classic. Friday night, you get a chance to see Western Nebraska for the first time, a team that you guys have had a pretty big rivalry with. They're a perennial power, 7-1 so far this season. Even with a new coach, you can expect that it's going to be a really good basketball game.
It is, and it is a rivalry for us. And it was, when I interviewed here 16 years ago, it was quite a process. And, the Booster Club was a portion of that interview. You met with the public or the Booster Club, and all I got was bombarded with, how are you going to beat Western Nebraska? How are you going to beat Western Nebraska? So that's the kind of rivalry it's been over the decades. And I think it's a great rivalry, too. It's not one of those where there's a lack of respect or those kind of things. It's just two programs, both on the men's and women's side, that have had success in Region 9. And, they're kind of the standard, and so we're always comparing ourselves, would Western Nebraska recruit this kid or those kind of things. But anyway, 7-1, they're very young but extremely athletic, and they're kind of like what we talked about, having balance. They have good guards that can drive and shoot, and then they have a very good interior game. So they're going to be a handful. They're playing their best basketball right now. I think they beat Eastern Wyoming by 35 or 40 the other night. So it's going to be a huge challenge for us.
Well, in two categories that you and I spend a lot of time talking about and adding extra possessions, limiting turnovers and offensive rebounds. They come in top 25 in the country in both those categories. They only average 12 turnovers a game, and they average 17 offensive rebounds per game. Are those two things that you're going to have to key in on?
Tremendous, because I think watching the Eastern Wyoming game earlier this week against Western Nebraska, Eastern Wyoming had 22 turnovers at halftime, and they turned into points. We're going to have to limit second chance points, which is the offensive rebounds, and then their points off of turnovers. They will press us 94 feet for a lot of the game, and they'll use a couple different ways to pick up full court. So, taking care of the basketball and winning the possession number is going to be key.
Sure. Faith Walker, their 6-foot sophomore post, can be a load. Comes in averaging 9 rebounds a game, but she had 25 points and 13 rebounds against Northwest last week. She had 11 offensive rebounds alone against Central 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. How do you try to, bottle somebody like that up?
She's a matchup. She's definitely going to be that. They went at Northwest. They got the ball inside, I think, because they had the size advantage. Well, again, their game against Eastern, she was out on the perimeter a lot, hit a three, shot a couple threes, made one. So if you go small against her because she's out on the perimeter, she's going to go inside and just, dominate in there. And if you go big, and if your bigs can't guard out on the perimeter, she's a threat there. So, and then the rebounding, and I noticed again on Tuesday night, she even rebounds when she's out on the perimeter. It's not just interior rebounds. So, we're going to have to get a body on her when shots go up, and she impacts the game both offensively and on the boards.
Sure. So then Saturday you move into a matchup with Otero again at the Cougar Classic, a team that comes in at 1-7, but it's a tough 1-7 because they played a tough schedule. They've kind of been banged up. How do you convince your kids to not look at this 1-7 record and really play them tough?
That message has to be loud and clear. We'll be doing video, so they're going to see the talent in there, and they have to understand, of those losses, probably 4 of those are top 20 teams.
Sure.
They've played a very good schedule, and then they're going to play us this weekend and CSI. So CSI is another tough. That's what makes you better. This team can shoot. They have 2 3-point shooters that are really good. They just got their post player back. She missed 6 games, I think it was. I'm not sure what the injury or the reason was, but she played last night, and she's going to change their whole dynamic. So
Sure.
When they're healthy, I watched them at the Jamboree when we played in Denver. I thought they were the best team in October from Region 9. So I personally am not fooled by that 1-7 record.
Absolutely. And a team that comes in shooting almost 33-point shots a game, how difficult can that be to match up with? Because on any given night, they can get hot and score a lot of points in a hurry.
And they do a good job of getting those shots. They run a lot of actions to get those shots.
Sure.
And they have 2, Bradley and Nekic. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. They're the bigger volume 3-point shooters, and they don't need much time to get that shot off. So, and they do a good job of running some action again to get those looks. So it's going to be a challenge. We're going to have to be locked in. Most of our preparation this week is Western Nebraska.
Sure.
And so that's the other thing. We play them on Saturday with a lot of chance to prepare against their sets and their actions and those kind of things. So another challenge. They're a good basketball team.
Yeah. Well, and 2 Region 9 opponents, both from the South this week. Teams, you're going to see Western Nebraska a little bit later this year.
Yeah.
But, how important is it to get this win early in case you do see them again, especially at the end of the season in the conference tournament?
I think wins are always important.
Sure.
You want to have that confidence in there. But to me, the advantage, too, of playing like NJC twice now, who looks to be a strong team in the South, and then Otero, who I know eventually is going to be one of the better teams in the South, and then Western Nebraska twice, it gives us a good idea of what to expect at tournament time and what we need to do. So, it's winning is very, very high on our priority list, but also learning, is key.
Sure. So a couple of different matchups this weekend. We spend a lot of time talking about other teams. What's one big focus for your team this week? What's one thing that you really want to emphasize that you want to see some growth in this weekend from your team?
I think as it's been in the past to, containing the dribble. And when we're playing Western Nebraska, they have 2 or 3 very good driving guards, and they can also shoot it. So you just can't play soft. You've got to be able to break down on your closeouts and then be able to contain the dribble. I think we've got to be better at that than we were last week, and we want to just keep building. So I think containing the dribble and getting to the shooters is going to be critical.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
Friday night, 5:30 from the Cougar Classic in Western Nebraska. Saturday at 2 o'clock. Both of those games can be seen on the Western Nebraska Athletics Network. Coach,
Yes.
Anything else to add?
No, again, I just like to shout out those fans again over Thanksgiving.
They were great, weren't
It was fun, and I think they had a lot of positive comments to say about our team. So just really enjoy playing the Swede, just really enjoy our fans, and the support here at Casper College is tremendous.
Sure. Well, and being a Thanksgiving weekend, a lot of people out of town, but there were a lot of people here both Friday and Saturday night.
There were, and we watch a lot of video,
Sure.
and a lot of times those stands are empty on the road,
yeah.
And so it doesn't go unnoticed by our team or myself how much our community supports us.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks again for joining us today. Fans, remember, shoot for the stars, because even if you miss, there's always a chance for an offensive rebound. Thank you.
Especially if